Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Norristown High School's Roosevelt Field. My name is Joe Hyland, and along with Coach Bob Koch, we'll be bringing you all the action here this evening in a traditional neighborhood rivalry between the Vikings of Upper Merion and the Norristown Eagles. It is a perfect night for high school football, cool, crisp, with excellent playing conditions on the field. At first blush, it would appear that this is a meaningless game. By that I mean Upper Merion has been eliminated from postseason play by reason of their loss last Saturday to very powerful Strathaven. On the other side of the ball, Norristown has had I think it's fair to say, a disappointing season with some unexplainable losses to teams which, frankly, they should have manhandled. However, this is a neighborhood rivalry. It is a classic neighborhood rivalry. It's the Battle of the Schuylkill River. Norristown from the northern bank and Upper Merion from the southern bank of that body of water. This game is for bragging rights as between the Vikings and the Eagles. There have been, over the years, some classic battles between Norristown and Upper Merion, and a perfect example of that is last year's game when Jordan Fazzari, the Norristown place kicker, kicked a last-minute 28-yard field goal to give Norristown a 16-14 win over the Vikings. Upper Merion, in a word, has had a surprisingly good season. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Vikings. However, they come into this game at 8-3. It is clear that Coach Toto has turned the Viking football program around. Upper Merion is a scoring machine. They are very powerful offensively. They are averaging 33 points per game. Triggerman for the Viking offense is their junior quarterback, Dan Kelly, who leads the area in passing yardage. He has thrown for over 1,500 yards and has accounted for 18 touchdowns through the air. His primary accuser is lightning quick Mike Farah, a senior. It will be interesting to see how the Norristown defensive secondary manages to cope with young Farah. It has been a puzzling year for Norristown. As you know, the Eagles started off like gangbusters. However, over the last 6 games, they have had 5 losses. As I mentioned, what is troubling is that some of the losses came against teams whom the Eagles outmanned and outgunned, but however failed to outplay. As Kelly is spectacular through the air for the Vikings, James Jacobs has been equally fine for the Norristown Eagles. He is the area's leading rusher and has gobbled up over 1,300 yards on the ground. Coach Toto, a graduate of Westchester University, is in his 2nd year as head coach of the Vikings. However, he has been associated with the Upper Merion football program for over 30 years. He was named to the head position 2 years ago, and one of the first things he did was bring back the traditional gold helmets that have been emblematic of the Upper Merion football teams over the years. The Vikings will run a Delaware wing T offense. As you know, that offense is very intricate, very precise, and it is fun to watch. With Danny Kelly at quarterback, he has a quartet of excellent runners, including Brett Patterson, Joey Tassoni, Russell DeStefano, and Paul McAvoy. On defense, the Vikings will play a 4-4-3 with linebacker Kevin Lukowitz and defensive end Jerry Conway being the defensive leaders. Upper Merion started the season with a legitimate Division I prospect in quarterback Kyle Martin. However, the young man hurt himself in preseason. He wrecked his ACL. And Dan Kelly stepped into the position and, in Coach Toto's words, has been a very, very pleasant surprise for the Vikings. So I expect a very interesting game this evening. Again, it's a traditional rivalry. The Upper Marion aerial game against the Norristown ground attack. For a rundown on the Norristown Eagles, I will turn the microphone over to my friend and broadcast partner, Coach Bob Koch. Coach?
Thanks, Joe. Good evening, everybody. Several things. I had a chance to talk with a couple of coaches this afternoon, and quite frankly, they said that they had a great week with practice. They're really looking forward to it. And as Joe alluded to a couple minutes ago, their record is, they could have had a record of 9-1. They're 5-5 at this point, but it could easily have been it could have been a 9-1 record. They lost a couple games, very close games, by 3-5 points. So they're looking at it with a little bit different angle. They also understand the importance of this week's game and next week's game with Plymouth Whitemarsh, because these 2 wins would give them a winning record. They know they need both of these games. So there are some intangibles here. There are a lot of seniors on the team. I believe there's 14 seniors that will be playing for Norristown tonight. That's also a consideration. And in speaking to the coaches, they conveyed to me that the leadership this week has been exceptional. Sometimes when you find yourself removed from the playoffs, which is most unusual for this team to be in this position, they have responded very well. As a matter of fact, Coach conveyed to me that they have not had to be pushed or special direction to focus their energies this week. Brad Baker has done a great job with leadership, and the team is, quote, been very focused on what they have to do this week. On the defensive side of the ball, Coach was very optimistic. As Joe pointed out, they're going to be going against a wing T, but Coach Griffin pointed out to me this afternoon that Norristown traditionally has done very well in those kind of situations, and they expect to do a lot of stunning. They're going to use their cornerbacks. They're going to use their D-backs. They're going to blitz a lot more. They're going to try and put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They know that the running game and the passing game is very good for Upper Marion, so they're going to try and mix it, quote, mix it up considerably on the defensive side of the ball. And they understand they must get to the ball. If they allow Upper Marion to just run it, it could be a long night. On the offensive side of the ball, it's another, I think, parallel. Norristown expects to mix it up quite a bit. They're going to avoid just going to their halfback, to their fullback. Both of those players are one is very powerful, the other one's very elusive, but their game plan seems to be to focus on throwing the ball more than perhaps usual. 2 things he said to me that I think are important. One, that they spent a lot of time pass blocking this week, which is very important. And second, he said that the quarterback has done a great job the last couple of weeks and are very satisfied with the way he's been throwing the ball. Joe indicated in the pregame that the weather is very conducive to throwing. There seems to be very little wind at this point, so that should affect both of them. 2 outstanding passers that will have the opportunity to do a lot of passing this week. So this expects to be a very important game for both teams. As Joe alluded to, the rivalry between the two, you don't usually have to get players up for these kind of games. It's a natural, it's instinctive, because it's bragging rights for a year, and Upper Marion's had an awesome year. They're well respected in the community, and the Norristown football team could be in a very different direction if a couple balls had gone different directions. So we're looking forward to a great evening, and very shortly we're going to have the introduction of the seniors and then the band, and hopefully a great game tonight. Thank you.
Tonight, Upper Marion comes in a tough playoff loss. But they really expected to compete. Really a hard against the Vikings. Meanwhile,
Supported by her father, Michael Spearman, and cheer director, Aaron Center. Football player, Brad Baker. With escort, Stephen Hardnock. Escorted by his parents, Mary Beth Hardnock and Joseph Hardnock. Blaine Pierce. Escorted by Marshall, Blaine, Barman, and Brandon Pierce. Ray Watson, escorted by his sister, Erica Watson. Ryan Blake, escorted by his parents, Kathy Blake and Mike Blake. Gordon Bazzari, escorted by his parents, Janet and James Bazzari.
Absolutely. Talk about the running game for Upper Merion. It's really gone with four backs. Paul Boyd, Russell Stephanie, Jason Stone, and Fred Patterson. These guys are going to win a big factor in tonight's game. Which one of these guys are going to win a big game?
Rich Ralston, escorted by his dad, Rick Ralston. James Jacobs, escorted by his parents, Bridget and James Jacobs. Steve Margill, escorted by his coach, Derek Lynch. Agent Thompson, escorted by his parents, Jacqueline and Chris Thompson. Terry Mulvey, escorted by his parents, Rick and Terry Mulvey. Sean and Linda, escorted by his parents, Gene and Dave and Linda. John Ludwig, escorted by his parents, Mary and John Ludwig. Seth Aronoff, escorted by his mother, Deb Weaver. Dean Johnson, escorted by his coach, Hussein.
Put her on your back.
William Hayes, escorted by his brother, Aaron Hayes.
Go down to the truck, and in the right-hand passenger seat is my clipboard and my radio. Bring both of those up.
Gordon Stevens, escorted by his coach, Jack Griffith. Aaron, Susan, and Mike. So, Mike Sherman, escorted by his mother, Linda Smith.
No, but it's okay. That was shirt. But it's okay. Nick went into it.
When is the drama close?
Let's have a round of applause for all of these senior players and participants, fans, color guards, athletic trainers, cheerleaders.
We're building the entire set. The entire set. I know she's a powerhouse.
Now, welcome back, everybody. We're about ready to start tonight's game between the Vikings and the Eagles. We are all standing now for the playing of the national anthem. That was a solo performance by a man with a trombone. The reason for the solo performance, we understand, is many of the band members, thinking that this was not to be a game weekend, had made other plans. And the trombonist, whose name we'll try to find out, did a gallant effort and did a very fine rendition of our nation's national anthem. Now we're here for the coin toss